Hi, I'm Heather Dodds. Welcome back to Eye on Harness Racing, presented by Trackmaster. This week, we cast an eye northwards to Mohawk Racetrack, where the Maple Leaf Trot has drawn an outstanding field of older trotters. Leading the field of 8 will be Arch Madness, Market Share, Mr. Herbie, and Guccio. We'll also get an update on what's happening with racing and breeding in Ontario with a special focus interview. Ken Weingartner recently spoke to the connections of the leading Maple Leaf Trot contenders.
Will time off affect him in any way?
No, he's actually real sharp, as evidenced by his qualifier when he gets a little bit of a break. He's been really good, so I don't think it's going to affect him. I think he's ready to roll.
And how have you seen him come back compared to last year?
No, it's funny, I look at him, maybe he's a hair thicker than he used to be. He's always in great flesh and everything. I don't think he's grown a whole lot, but he certainly acts like he's stronger at the end of the mile right now.
There was little drama in last Saturday's Meadowlands Pace final at the Meadowlands. Captain Treacherous got the lead early in the mile, and after that move, it was all over except for the post-race celebration.
Sunshine Beach moving up on the outside third, but the captain leads it by 2 at the edge of the tote board. Odds on Aculius cannot catch him. Sunshine Beach on the outside. They're coming down to the finish. It's the captain! Captain Treacherous wins the Meadowlands Pace.
You know, he kept going 26 and 27 quarters, and no one had a chance to pull off the rail and challenge him. And he was stronger at the wire than he's been in a long time.
Were you feeling pretty confident turning for home?
Oh yeah, I was feeling good. You know, after the first quarter in 27, and I let him rattle from there, make everybody work to keep up. And top lane, I called on him, and he went like he always does. He races well, and he got the job done.
Definitely not let him down all the way. More so, more paddock time, a little less jogging for a little while, and just kind of let him decompress a little bit. And it's a lot of strain on a horse as far as mental and physical. So they're just like people, and hopefully he gets a little chance to refresh and regroup, and he'll come back as good as ever for the Battle Brain Boy.
Will Be a Magician pass the Oaks to race against colts in the Hambletonian? That's being asked louder and by more people after the big and speedy mare added a world record to her list of accomplishments in winning the Delvin Miller Trot.
And Be a Magician is striding away. It's Be a Magician opening up now to a 3.5 length lead. Frau Blucher is second. Mystery Woman late trot on the outside. Be a Magician is wrapped up, and Be a Magician a convincing winner of the Del Miller 151, a world record.
Yeah, we've pretty much made up our mind. We had the plan. We're going to stick to going in the Oaks, race her against their own kind. We just feel like going 2 heats against the boys might be too much. You get a day like this where it's 100 odd degrees, it might be too tough. So I actually think the fillies are maybe tougher than the colts, but it's more the 2 heats factor than the opposition.
What have you thought about her performances so far? Pretty.
Well, the last performance was obviously her best, and it was, even I was surprised. I mean, she's a good horse, but that was a phenomenal run. I think her runs in Canada were a little ordinary, but we've been protecting her quite a bit and not training her very much, just trying to protect her because she had so many starts.
Now that Ontario's Slots at Racetracks program has been ended by the Canadian government, a new plan to aid the standardbred industry by making it self-sufficient has recently emerged. Still, not all is known about how the racing and breeding industry will be affected. To learn more, John Pavlik recently interviewed a key industry leader in Ontario via Skype.
Thanks, Heather. It's my pleasure to be with one of the truly great gentlemen in the sport, and I'm happy to say a great friend of mine. I'm talking about Bill O'Donnell, member of the Harness Racing Hall of Fame, who now is the president of the Central Ontario Standardbred Association. Bill, very recently, the government there came out with a report on how the sport should transition from the Slots at Racetrack program to a brand new sport of harness racing. What do you know about the report? What can you tell us, and what are the key factors that they're suggesting?
Well, you're right, John, and thanks for having me on. It did come out, and we had a meeting. They made a presentation last week at Woodbine, and we were all present for the meeting there. And there was some discussion tables on 5 or 6 different criteria, and we wanted some information and stuff on it. So we kind of all sat around at each table and got some questions and tried to answer some questions on how it would work. But it's still in the works with the panel. They're still working on it, on a plan, and the transition from slots, which was $345 million a year, to who knows what. I mean, there's lots of figures being thrown around. If it's $60 million a year for 3 years that the government's going to put money into us, that's 180 million. 30 that each year goes for sire stakes. That's 90 over 3 breeds. I don't know. Along with the handle commissions, which are going to match dollar for dollar, which it's good that they're going to do something, but it's not nearly enough. And that out of that 180 million, that's operating costs, operating costs for racetracks. So the question that we all have is, where's the purse money?
Exactly. One of the things, Bill, that they talk about in the report is the pooling of purses. What exactly is that concept? What does that mean?
Like with the WEG tracks, the Woodbine and Mohawk, about 80% of the handle in Ontario comes from the Woodbine, thoroughbred standardbred, and the Mohawk standardbreds. Does that mean that that's all going to go into one pool and then they're going to get 60% back? I don't know. I really don't know. And is that what they really have in mind? I don't know about that either.
Bill, another thing that they mentioned is trying to give the tracks more ways to attract horse players. Instant racing, a lottery-based wager based on harness racing outcomes. Those seem like good things, but they're also talking about vast changes to the breeding incentive programs. And if we don't have horses bred, we don't have a sport. Some thoughts on that?
My view, the only way that this industry is going to flourish again, if we are integrated, in which Premier Wynne she has stated that we will be integrated into the OLG. If that's the case, that's a game changer. But the breeding industry went from here in Ontario. In 2011, they bred 4,050 mares. Last year, they bred 2,800. This year, they were lucky to breed 1,000. And then in the report, it talks about quality. We had quality. We had a horse that was raised or bred in Ontario last year that won the Little Brown Jug. We've had 3 Hambletonian winners that were, bred here. What more quality can you have than that? They've won Breeders' Crowns. They've won everything. More so than a lot of any of the other states you could pinpoint. But we've bred a lot of horses, and we're very successful at it. And now it's gone away, and now it's got to rebuild. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Bill, thanks for taking time. I want to put in a plug for you and your staff. COSA Online, one of the best websites I've come across in many a day, because there's great information on this topic and everything about Ontario racing. Well done.
Right, thank you.
There are 8 horses set to start in the Maple Leaf Trot this Saturday, but plenty of possible storylines. Here to sort them out and give us his picks is Paul Ramlow.
An outstanding field of 8 trotters will take to the Mohawk Racetrack surface this Saturday night for the $543,000 Maple Leaf Trot. I like market share in this race, despite the fact he is starting from post position 8. Last year's Hambletonian champion is 2 for 2 this year and comes into the Maple Leaf Trot off a very impressive 150-3 qualifying effort last Saturday at the Meadowlands. However, don't overlook Mr. Herbie. He was last year's Maple Leaf Trot champion at a stakes record 150-4. He was a winner a few weeks ago at Mohawk and 153-3, but will have to step up his effort to take on market share this week. Other horses to look out for in the race include Wishing Stone, Guccio, and Uncle Peter. Like I said, an outstanding group of 8. I'm Paul Ramlow for Paul's Paddock Picks.
Trackmaster's Harness Pro is the most unique and powerful harness handicapping tool available on the market today. There is no software to download or install. Simply and easily handicap from any PC, Mac, or tablet using a web browser. Visit Trackmaster.com to become a Harness Pro. Trackmaster has again provided us with the Platinum Picks for the Ion Harness Racing Race of the Week. Here are this week's Trackmaster Platinum Picks for the Maple Leaf Trot. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be looking at two classic races, the Yonkers Trot, the first leg of the Trotting Triple Crown, and the Delvin Miller Adios, the biggest race on the Meadows calendar each year. I'm Heather Dodds. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to make Eye on Harness Racing a regular Thursday viewing habit. See you next time.